What's going on, guys? Welcome to today's video. Now what we're going to be discussing today is how your level of advancement in powerlifting is completely subjective to you and how it can vary from person to person. So what I mean by this is, people tend to kind of fall into three categories. You're a beginner, you're an intermediate, or you're an advanced lifter, okay? And with them you get beginner programs, intermediate style programs, and advanced style programs. And the difference is that a beginner program is going to be extremely linear, an intermediate program is going to be linear, but not as linear as beginner, and an advanced is not going to be very linear, as realistically speaking, you might only be able to put on 10 pounds to your lift in a year. Now that is a very, very simple way to break it down. A lot more goes into it, but that is just for simplicity. Now, what you need to understand is that your level of advancement is genetic and subjective. So let's just use I'll use a few examples. So first example, let's say you're in a beginner program, okay? And what I would say is the kind of cut-off tends to be from a beginner to an intermediate is roughly around about 170, 180 kilogram deadlift, about a 140 kilogram squat, and about maybe a 90 to 100 kilogram bench press. They're a kind of good cut-off from a beginner to an intermediate, okay? But the thing is, if you're on a beginner style program and you're linearly progressing your weights and you surpass 180 and you're finding it very easy to keep you're linearly progressing your weights up and up and up, and you manage to get to say a 210 kilogram deadlift, okay, well then you are technically still a beginner because your genetics allow you to be so. So let me kind of break this down. You genetically are much superior at gaining strength and size. Now that can be down to many factors. It can be down to bone structure, how your nervous system works, the cross sections of your muscles, your leverages. The list goes on and on and on. There's tons of variable factors, but the thing is that although there are general guidelines, it does come down to a rule. So don't get to a point where you go, oh, I'm doing this beginner program and now I've got to 180 kilogram squat, or I'm going to jump onto an intermediate program because now I'm an intermediate. Well, that's not necessarily true, because you may still be a beginner because your genetics allows you to do so, because you're still gaining weight and you just are you're in a much more advantageous position to be stronger, because at the end of the day you do get genetic elite people. Although there are guidelines, you've got to be subjective and you've got to be able to subject yourself. It's like me, for example. So let's just say my biggest squat today is 260 kilograms. I've doubled we can even go by doubling 248. So I've doubled 248 kilos on the squat. Okay, now I did that following an intermediate style program, and I'm still following a kind of slightly advanced but intermediate program, right? So I got to a 260 kilogram squat following an intermediate program, whereas my brother, who is very identical to me, he is the same height as me, we have the exact same femur length, we've got the exact same wingspan, we are quite similar, we look alike as well. If he was to get to a 260 kilogram squat, the chances are, because of his bone structure and just the way his genetics kind of outline, the way they work, he would be an advanced lifter, without doubt. He would be following very advanced protocols to be a 260 kilogram squatter, whereas I'm following intermediate style protocols, okay? Realistically speaking, I don't really think I'll be following a proper advanced protocol until I'm maybe at a 280 kilogram squat, something around that lines. So therefore, I am able to progress much further a lot more linearly than he is, because my genetics allow me to do so. So that is what I want to talk about. Hope you found it informative. Although there are general guidelines, try and milk each process, your beginner process and your intermediate process, as long as you physically can, until you stop progressing, because your genetics may allow you to go way past what the general guidelines are. And likewise, you could be the opposite. You could get to a 150 kilogram squat and you literally just cannot progress, and you've got to go into an intermediate style program because your genetics just aren't really that in favor for you to get strong. And that's fine, because that's the cards you've been dealt, so you've got to deal with it. So that's the topic, guys. I hope you've found it informative. If you're in this position, then I hope it could help. As always, smash that like button, and I'll see all of you guys next time.
Would you ever forget anything you know? Take a chance to step outside.